Good morning, friends. Hello. Glad you're here. I pray you are finding this day well on this snowy day here in the city. That the offices here are closed. I think that means there'll probably be no yoga tonight as well. I talked to our new yoga instructor a little bit ago, so we are in the winter mode. Good morning, Vicky. Wishing you well these days. Getting ready to head out. If you don't know, Vicky is getting ready to head back to the Dominican to do some more mission work down there in the next few days. So we wish her blessings and send her well. Hey, Karen, good morning. Happy snowy morning to you too. Jamie, welcome. Hello, Mr. Boober. Hello. Great. Great to see you. Tell her to keep it between the white lines. All right. Good to see everybody. Good morning, Kristen. How are you this morning? Hope you're having a great day. John, hello. Glad that you're here. Um, and really grateful for your willingness to share your artistry and my dad's artistry together. That's really a great sweetness. If you didn't see it in our last stream, that um, these this this picture that was done by my dad has been captured by John, and he's going to put it in sticker form and be able to offer it out to people. And so it's a real gift to be able to have that continuing on. Good morning, Sharon. Hello, how are you? Yvette, good morning. Hope you're doing okay. So glad to see everybody this morning. It's such a joy. It does my heart good. I hope it does your heart good too. Welcome. That we have a bit of heaviness this morning, and I know there's a lot of heaviness for a lot of people, but one of my dear friends, Jeff Bensing, his dad passed this last night at 99 and a half years old. And so just Bob had an incredible run of life. Nobody loved living more than he did. And so I just hope you hold up my friend Jeff and Bob in these days that this season of life and the stars going out for some of us and for him. So welcome. Good morning, Irene. Glad you're here. All right. Good morning, everybody. Let's get going this morning. It is the 28th day of February. It's the last days of February. This is it for some people. Now there's a whole different kind of understanding about this. There's different people that understand this in different ways, but for some people this is pruning time. Some people like do it in the fall, some people do it in the winter. But this time, just before the buds set in, just before that, as the maple syrup starts to sap, for many people will take this time to do some pruning. They'll cut back bushes, they'll cut back trees. It's this time just before growth starts, when they'll begin to take out the dead parts that aren't a part of life. And as we on enter into this Lenten season, that's a part of what Lent is all about as well. And so this, and that we can look at these in different ways. We can look at these parts as losses and losses of our life, or we can look at them in ways that open us and create in us a place a place for new light, a place for new growth, a place for things that are bigger and wider than what we thought ever could have been in our life. And it often comes with great despair. We talk about losses and the losses of function, maybe even our body breaking apart, the loss of a loved one and a person that's no longer there, a loss in our heart, and a heartbreak. There's so many that seem to be stacking up in these days. I don't know about you, but it seems like that this whole season is in some ways a season of loss, and then stepping into Lent only seems to be all the more. But Jesus says this about pruning. So Jesus has a lot to say about gardening, actually. But this is this equation of the branch and the vine, that there's a source, and that from that source all things grow, and that Christ, as our source, has this to say from the 15th chapter of John. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it, so that it may bear more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, so neither can you unless you abide in me. What does it mean to this abiding? That what does it really look like in a life? One of my favorite stories about this, because that seems to come to me, is the story of a guy by the name of Jim Hanger. James Hanger was a cavalryman in the Virginia Cavalry. He enlisted immediately upon the start of the American Civil War. He wanted to fight for Old Virginia, and fight he did. 2 days after his enlistment, he was in the or 2 days into service, he was in his first engagement, and a cannonball shattered his leg. He was taken prisoner, and it was a federal surgeon that stopped the bleeding and amputated his leg. He has the ignominious distinction of being the first amputee in the American Civil War in 1861, a war that would bring on 60,000 more amputees after him. A few months later, and he would be sent home in a prisoner exchange. And when he made it home to Churchville, Virginia, his heart was broken. He was an 18-year-old young man without a leg, in a world that prided the ability to stand and to stand up, and the ability to work in good physical labor. And he became distraught and depressed. He would write, "I was prey for despair. What could the world hold for a maimed, crippled man?" He would go on as he began to try and make something of this new life, that instead of kind of wallowing in his grief, instead of kind of wallowing in the midst of his days, that he would begin to design prosthetics. And in fact, he would ultimately lead to one of the most revolutionary innovations around the suffering of those 60,000 that were to follow him, to come up with a particular leg prosthetic that would be used for years later, and that would ameliorate the suffering of tens of thousands of men. James, after the war, would gain patents on his new designs. And in fact, the Hanger Incorporated, which is his company that he founded after the war, is now a multi-billion-dollar industry, caring for and developing prosthetics for people who have lost limbs around the world. James Hanger was pruned by life. Now, we would like to think about this in a different way, don't we? We like to think about the prunings. Oh, it was a dead thing that we pruned off, or there's things that we need to let go of in our life in some sort of, kind of Oprah-esque fashion. We like to think of the pruning of life as not taking full limbs from us, that not that the injustice or the pains or the real wounds and hurts of our lives, actually those aren't the prunings, those are real wounds. But Hanger chose to see it differently. That in the midst of the thing that was taken away from him, his leg, he began to figure out a way to ameliorate the suffering of the world, to care for the people whom he would encounter, to care for the people who would come after him, who would be bearing the same wound, to after offer up out of his despair a hope and a way to improve the world and improve himself that made the world a better place. When Jesus speaks of pruning, Jesus speaks of the vine and the branch, I think that's more what he's speaking of. Not simply the things that we need to let go of so that God can give us more joy, but often quite really the things that have been kind of maybe even brutally cut off from us, maybe taken from us without our consent or our desire. But an ability for us to sit in that place and, yeah, is it going to be painful? Yeah. Are we going to be the way, he describes himself as prey of despair? I just love that language, that he was a prey of despair, that he's simply being preyed upon by the depressive instincts. When we're all going to encounter that doesn't mean we're failing. That doesn't mean, but the question is, do we stay there? Do we, as a pruned, a pruned lilac that is cut back, or do we stay in the cold and the broken and the white and the frozen of the season? Or as things begin to warm, as things begin to change, will we grow and grow again? You see, this invitation of stepping into March, this invitation of stepping into this time, is this invitation to step into a deeper and real relationship with the one who made you, who isn't here to torture you, who isn't here to hurt you, who isn't here to break you apart, but understands that there will be pain, and there will be breaking, and there will be heartbreak in this life. Jesus speaks of pruning because he understands it's going to happen in this world, both sometimes for the very best of us, but always with a hope and with a reality that more beautiful, more wondrous, more joyous, more gracious life may come from it. Even in the most grotesque of war wounds, even in the most insulting of losses, even in the most difficulty of despair, when it's really just gnawing on our skull, even out of these things, God's grace and God's love and God's peace and God's wonder for our lives can and will find a way through and for us to bring new life. Now, we're not all going to go, create a medical services company for our wound. We're not all going to go, care for all the people in which we were, that has a similar injury or a similar snip to us. That's not all of our calls. But it is our call to bring light in the midst of our despair. It is our call to care deeply for the people that we find ourselves around. It is our call to grow and to grow and to grow again, to turn ourselves towards the light of the one who made us. And in that, find new life that we never thought possible, and that was never even possible until maybe the pruning came along in the first place. We're all going to touch loss in this world, friends. We're all going to touch it. But I hope that, like James Hanger, I hope, like Jesus' promise to us, you can step into that place of growth, of love, of hope, of hope. And you can let the dogs of despair starve on the edges of your life, and let that what the world could hold for you in your maybe maimed and crippled little place in your life. It is my hope for you that you know this grace and this goodness and this love in these days. Peace and grace to you, my friends. Peace and grace to you. May it surround you. May it always and never leave you. And may you know in the depths of your worry, in the depths of your sorrow, in the depths of your loss, that new growth, new life, and new hope is just around the corner. Peace and grace to you, my friends. This is my hope for you this day. We'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.